Good morning and welcome to the ARGENT BIOPHARMA Limited investor presentation. Throughout this recorded presentation, investors will be in listen-only mode. Questions are encouraged and they can be submitted at any time using the Q&A tab situated on the right-hand corner of your screen. Simply type in your questions and press send. The company may not be in a position to answer every question received during the meeting itself. However, the company can review all questions submitted today and publish responses where it is appropriate to do so. Before we begin, I would like to submit the following poll, and I would now like to hand you over to CEO Robbie Zomer. Good morning to you.
Thank you very much and good morning. Good morning, everybody. I would like to present ARGENT BIOPHARMA, a rollover from previously called MGC Pharma after a long process of restructuring and taking us into the next step of the company involvement as a pure biopharma company, a specialized pharmaceutical company in the central nervous system and the autoimmune system. ARGENT BioPharma is a specialized pharmaceutical company. We committed to provide and to develop medicine for unmet medical need. We are capable of developing and producing everything in-house, which makes us a very special and unique pharmaceutical company that capable in the development, taking through the clinical trial up to the marketing authorization, and today also with early patient access scheme and early sales of our unique drugs, due to the fact that we have the core idea of meeting unmet medical need, providing drugs that at the moment the industry or the patient have nowhere to source a proper remedy for their indication or their illness. This is where ARGENT BioPharma entering into the sphere of the pharmaceutical industry. The company have in-house R&D and manufacturing site, all of them set in Europe as part of the change in the company. All of our management team, facilities, everything is located in Europe and managed and developed in the Europe. We have our in-house R&D and production site in Slovenia. We are capable in our hub to develop the formulation from the start, basically from doing the drug delivery system, design the formulation, adopting multidisciplinary approach and nanotechnologies that giving our drug their uniqueness and basically our new proprietary of the company. Our facilities are fully owned and operated by our company, and basically is the core of any pharmaceutical company, its ability to continue to develop new drug and to bring new drug to the market. On top of our research and development facility, we have our own laboratories which are capable to support our development and basically to assure that all the time we bring the best product to the market, to assure its safety, its stability, and its accuracy. So like any pharma company, today, tomorrow, and next year, we know exactly what we're providing to our patient. And by having all of this tool in-house, it's allow us to be much more cost-effective and affordable drug to the market with the capabilities that we are doing everything in-house from the development, from the research, and from the learning of our treatments. Of course, we are not just researching and developing our drug, we're also producing our drugs. And at the moment, our drugs are being produced all for clinical trials, as we have in our clinical program, or for early patient access scheme, where our unique formulation are being adopted by professional healthcare, by practitioners, and being provided for patients around the world through special access schemes that allow our product to be prescribed and as an unlicensed drug. So our capabilities in-house to produce this drug with our Slovenian and our recent established Maltese facility. I need to say that the Maltese facility was also endorsed strongly by the Malta government, and our work and collaboration together with them. We see Malta as a door to the European Union and to the American market in providing affordable and very high regime of drugs, and we're using our Malta facility as this door. We also in discussion and speaking with other pharmaceutical company to provide them OEM, basically to provide services until we fulfill our own capacity. We're capable to provide services for other pharma companies as we meet very high standards of the EU GMP and batch release capabilities. We're able to provide our drugs and our capabilities of producing drugs to third party and other companies around the world. Beside our production and capabilities of research, we have our own drugs in our portfolio that we are developed over the years. We're starting with Canapil, our drug for refractory epilepsy. The drug has been designed and developed since the early establishment of the company, and it has been rolled out into ARGENT BIOPHARMA as one of the key leading product. Today, the product is administered and being available under early patient access scheme in Ireland and the UK. The target of the product is the refractory epilepsy, also known as drug-resistant epilepsy, covering over 20 to 30% of all epilepsy patients. Basically, more than 15 million patients around the world are suffering from epilepsy that at the moment has no cure or approved treatment. And this is where we are entering into the picture, where we are being able to provide a safety net or the last resort for this patient. Just in the UK alone, there are over 150,000 patients that at the moment does not getting a proper treatment. And this is where we are going to introduce our product to them, first of all, through the early patient access scheme, to provide them an alternative or a new Medicare that can help them to reduce the seizures and basically to have a seizure control treatment. And we will proceed with this process through Ireland and other European territories as our lead product. We can say that we have our first success story in UK with treating several patients, but also entering and reviewing by the RASCAS program and with support of I Am Billy Foundation. We're also looking on other venue. We are working, everything is in-house, so we are working with our own team that introduce the drug through the patient and practitioners. We're providing it basically directly to the professional and to the patient in different territories. It's a very valuable to understand that through the early patient access scheme, beside our generating of early stage revenues, we're also collecting a lot of data that allow us to improve and accurate our treatment and to understand its safety profile and of course the efficacy treatment and the dosing of the treatment to the patient to get the best of our treatment, and prescribing it outside of a clinical trial, basically in the real world environment, give us much more information, valid information on a long-term treatment. And if we can see that patients are continue to using the drug and using the treatment and have their effect, it gives us much more confidence about the future of our treatment and also allow us to improve and to get the best treatment to our patient as we move forward alongside our clinical program. Our second product that was introduced to the market in early 2020 is Symmetra. It started as a treatment, as an autoimmune treatment to modulate the cytokine storm and to prevent the pro-inflammatory reaction in severe cases of COVID-19. But the product is not for COVID-19. And basically, the treatment is dealing with any lung injury or lung failure, and also known as acute respiratory distress syndrome, where we have a pro-inflammatory reaction in our bodies that can cause a lung failure. This is where we are entering. We are able to modulate the mRNA in our protein, and by that to prevent the pro-inflammatory occurring in the product. So when we look on the indication and the wide range of the portfolio of where Symmetra can contribute, we are speaking about very large area and spectrum of indications that can intrigue what we all call the cytokine storm. And by suppressing it and modulate it, we basically can prevent the mortalities that we see in such cases, and basically to support and ease a variety of different patients around the world that can be a result of inflammatory reaction or other autoimmune indication that will induce the pro-inflammatory. The product already provided through a special access scheme in the United States. We already deliver more than 50,000 units worldwide. The company already generated revenue, and this support, again, aside of the clinical trial, give us the comfort and the understanding that we do have valuable products that treating and helping patients around the world with our indication. And by that, we are actually understanding that we're saving patient life. Our third product, Cognican, started in our clinical program. Today, basically sitting on the side, and we'll wait until the first two products are reaching to their marketing authorization. But by completing the phase 2A study in Australia and understanding the safety profile of the product, as well as a potential efficacy, make it also a valuable product in our portfolio. And basically understanding that we will not be just one-trick pony or having a very small portfolio of product. We will be able to keep our relevancy in the market when we look on the future. And also if we will see that we have slowdown in one of the other drugs, we will be able to provide new drugs to the market. So from risk assessment of our company, we're able to provide more than one treatment to the market. And by that, there is a diversification of our portfolio. We're able all the time to keep relevancy and to keep new product to the market. I need to say the Cognican by itself is helping to improve quality of life in patients with dementia and Alzheimer. We're able to see a very good improvement in the quality of living of the patients that were in the clinical trials, with some of them asked to continue the treatment after the trial was ended. And of course, we didn't see any adverse event occurring from the drug, giving us the strong understanding about the safety and the potential efficacy of this treatment. We continue with our preclinical trials. One of great discoveries in the treatment of glioblastoma, one of the most severe cancer we know in the brain, severe brain cancer. But we are not targeting the cancer itself, as we indicate our portfolio is central nerve system and autoimmune and immunology. What we are doing, we are modulating the stem cells, the cancer stem cells, the tumor stem cell, which they are then doing the apoptosis. This discovery allows us to develop a product not just that able to target and treat glioblastoma cancer, but it's doing it without the risk, first of all, of need to penetrate into the brain, without the risk of toxicity around the tumor cells. We're basically modulating our immune system to do what it does best, and by that, preventing and eliminating the tumor cells. The product is still in preclinical trial with great discovery. And again, it will wait in our portfolio as we move forward to keep relevancy and to keep more product coming into the market as we move forward. Our drug portfolio in different clinical trials, we are not an early stage company. Actually, Symmetra now in the middle or the last part of its phase 2B studies and dose finding studies, which will help us to move forward and to seek FDA IND submission and to proceed as we see forward to marketing authorization. Eventually, Canapil also in clinical trials, getting ready to its phase 2 studies. As we move forward, we accurate our dosing and the treatment, which will then proceed into the phase 2 studies, and Cognican, which completed the phase 2A studies. So as a company, we're not an early stage drug discovery company. We're actually in the middle of different clinical trials, giving us, first of all, the safety and the stability as a company, as a public listed company, to assure our shareholders and our investors that we have the capability of proceeding with our drugs, but also reduce the risk of discovery of new drugs by basically proceeding with our clinical trials and having a wide range portfolio. But like any company, we have the best part, which is our team, and Ifat, which is our coming COO, our Chief Operational Officer, and basically the right hand who running the company, where we'll take it forward and give a brief on the management and the teams that stand behind our operation, our research, and our activities around the world. Ifat?
Thank you, Robbie. Hi, everyone. So my name is Ifat, and I'm coming with vast experience in the various pharmaceutical companies coming from Johnson & Johnson, GSK. I have started in Deloitte as a chartered accountant. However, with my experience, I have moved into large-scale efficiency and running corporate relationship. With ARGENT BioPHARMA, the main reason I joined here is because I saw great potential when I went to Malta or to Slovenia. It was like any other manufacturing site within a pharmaceutical company. You can throw me in there and I wouldn't know to recognize whether it was Johnson & Johnson, GSK, or ARGENT. It's really top-end facilities. As well as looking at the vision of the company and looking at the product, it really makes me proud to think that we are impacting life and helping people. And that's the main reason that I am here. So just going through the team, I will briefly describe each one of our key professional teams. We do have a fully scaled professional team, as you would expect from any listed company. So I will start with our Chief Financial Officer, Igor. He leads the Financial and Compliance Department. He has vast experience across pharmaceutical companies and NASDAQ listed companies. He holds an accounting and economic degrees and was certified accountant with EY. Sorry, I'll just move to the next one. The next one will be Mr. Amir Pollack. He is our Chief Pharmaceutical and Development Officer. He leads the full life cycle of the product, from ideas to commercializing, from idea to being commercial. He has 18 years of experience in various companies, including Teva, and has an organic chemistry degree. And everything within the R&D clinical life cycle is within his remit. The next person that is fully professional and one of our key leading people is Sabina. She's a Chief Quality and Commercial Officer. She specializes in establishing system and ensuring regulatory compliance. She is a European registered qualified person and worked in the past in Perrigo. Sabina is responsible for all the commercial aspect of the product, starting from manufacturing into market and leading the access of our product through the early access schemes in the various markets and ensuring that we have those revenues Robbie relates to. Yair Tal is our Chief Information Security Officer, and he safeguards all our digital and physical assets. He has 30 years of experience and specializes in security certification. So just moving into our medical advisor board. We have Dr. Jonathan Granfeld. Dr. Jonathan is the Vice President of Medical Development. He was a lead in one of the big hospitals in Israel as the head of oncology. and he holds a medical degree in Tel Aviv University. Professor Uri Kremer, he is our head of neurology. He is a recognized leading specialist in diagnosis and treatment in childhood neurology and disorders. He specializes in epilepsy and has over 50 years of professional experience, wrote more than 80 scientific medical papers on pediatric neurology. Yossi Mugrabi is our leading strategic R&D person. He drives biotech innovation in multiple patents and collaboration with top academic institutes. He's deeply involved in drug development and has strong focus on innovation and commercialization. The last person is Dr. Shlomo Saadon. Dr. Saadon has over 18 years of experience with pharmaceutical industry. He's the co-founder of a company called SK Pharma and has expanded his company over 18 countries. He specializes in generic and helps us with the commercialization of our product into various territories. So this is us. Robbie, back to you.
That's great, Yifat, Robbie. Thank you very much. If I may just jump in there, and thank you very much indeed for your presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, please do continue to submit your questions using the Q&A tab situated on the top right corner of your screen. While the company take a few moments to review those questions submitted today, I would like to remind you that a recording of this presentation, along with a copy of the slides and the published Q&A, can be accessed via your investor dashboard. Robbie, Yifat, as you can see, we have received several questions throughout today's presentation. And if I may now hand back to you and kindly ask you to read out the questions where appropriate to do so, and I'll pick up from you both at the end.
Thank you very much. So I think that we got several questions that are addressing, first of all, for the early patient access scheme and our strategy of sale, and then the regulatory and the pathway to the marketing authorization. So I will start with the early patient access scheme. Basically, any drugs that contain or running through clinical trials and show a certain safety portfolio with potential efficacy can be prescribed by any doctor by his request. Basically, the doctor is the one who leading the review and the understanding that there is a potential treatment, and therefore he asked to prescribe it to its patient. Then the agency can review it, and like in Ireland, for example, an early patient access scheme or special access scheme also been granted a fully reimbursement by the National Health Insurance. So if we're looking on Canapil, for example, we started with early patient access scheme in Ireland back in 2021. Then our product received a fully coverage from the National Health Insurance. So today, patients that are being prescribed basically named patient prescription by the doctors, they are also able to reimburse the cost of this drug by the National Health Insurance. So this is the most advanced program that can have for early patient access scheme, where it's not going out of pocket, and it's still an unlicensed drug, it's fully reimbursed. This took us to achieve about 2 years, and basically in 2023 we start to get patients that getting full reimbursement, and then together with our medical liaison team and the local distributor, we are able to create educational symposiums that explain about the potential of the treatment or similar treatment and the benefit of such treatment to the patient. And then it's up to the doctors to see and to decide to prescribe it. So it's a mutual work of collecting of the real world data from the patient and the doctor, gathering it, and then providing back to the industry to show the safety profile and the efficacy potential of the treatment. And then we can expand and increase our treatment in a very big difference to a marketing authorization and a licensed drug. We're not doing an active marketing, and it's need to come from the doctor that sees the benefit and the potential of the drug. So we need to work a lot with our practitioner, a lot with the clinic, and again, to collect the data from the real world data and the early patient access scheme, and to compile it. Of course, this data will help us with our regulatory moving forward as compliance and compiling into the phase 4 once we will submit to the agencies. But the same as we did with Canapil, we did also with Symmetra, and we got it through a special emergency access scheme in the United States. Today it's listed under the NDC, and by that we're able to provide it to patients in America. So the work of early patient access scheme, it's combined between our medical liaison team, talking to the doctors, talking to the clinic, and basically showing the real evidence of the drug working in the real world, and by that obtaining more and more prescribers. It's at the moment what we used to call an early sales. So it's not the sales that you see when you get a licensed drug and a marketing authorization, but for a company that running efficiently, it's a big contribution to our operational cost and a big support to move us forward. But moreover, it's the data that we're able to collect and to compile it and to improve our treatment. So this is where we are now in the early stage of early patient access scheme with different drug, and we move forward around this path. In parallel to this path, of course, we have the clinical pipeline, which at the moment we have various clinical stage of our drug. And as of today, what we are doing, we are speaking and we have already open conversation with the FDA and with other drug agency to see what the pathways that we will need in order to complete and to reach to marketing authorization. We explore several routes. Some of them are around the orphan drug designation, as we have unique formulation, and orphan drug designation will allow us to get fast track of the registration with market safety, market protection for certain years. And in some cases, we are looking on the fact that we are saving life and dealing with unmet medical needs, which making our drug a life-saving. So there are different pathways to each of our drugs, and all of them now in conversation with the authorities to find the best way to get into marketing authorization. So the data and the clinical data that we have today gave us the certainty and the basic ground floor to, first of all, to see the safety profile, which is the first element for any treatment, to know that we are safe to be administered, and therefore we don't contain any risk with our treatment moving forward. The second part of our clinical trial was to see the efficacy potential of our drug before we moving forward, if it's to phase 2B or to phase 3 with the drug, and then getting closer to the marketing authorization. Each of the drug have a different route to marketing, and each of them will get a different regulatory advice from the FDA, which of course will update the market once we get the FDA answers. And by that, we will move forward with the optimum goals that all of our drug will obtain a marketing authorization, where it's in USA by the FDA as a prime indication, and of course in the UK and Europe under EMA, which of course it's a large market that we are working and addressing to. And together with this regulatory dialogue, we'll be able to reduce the risk as we move forward for the investor in the obtaining of marketing authorization. More question about leveraging the real-world data from the early patient access scheme. As explained, we are collecting data from the doctors that prescribing the product. The doctor tell us how the efficacy, how the treatment was effective, and by that we are able to compile this real-world data that allow us to accurate our dosing, to understand in the end of the day on which dose and which treatment protocol was the best to the patient, the interaction with different drugs, the ways that the administration is being given, the duration, etc., and of course the safety profile. All of this is being compiled by the doctors and by our quality team in what we all call the dossier that in the end represent our drug when we're speaking to the agencies. So on one side, we are getting revenue out of it, but moreover, we're getting valuable data that will take in clinical trials years to obtain, where you having the drug actually in the real world being administered to the patient and not in a sterile environment in clinical trial. So the data is much more valuable than just a clinical trial data, which save us a lot of money on the other side in building our clinical program and clinical development. So we're getting data that earn us money, but also save us a lot of money in trial and error of clinical trial, which are the biggest burden on the company. Last question that we got in regarding to our investors and the delisting from the Australian market. So as was stipulated in recent announcement, the company is in the process of delisting from the Australian market, mostly due to the fact that the company is a European operated company. The company originally established in Australia, but for the last few years, as we turned into a pharmaceutical company, and especially in the last phase of the restructuring of the company into Argent Biopharma, we no longer have any activities in Australia. All of our managers, team members, facilities, activities, clinical trials, sales, everything is happening here in the UK and in Europe. And therefore, there was no rationale to keep the listing in Australia, which bear cost to the company on obtaining two major listings in Australia and the UK, basically obtaining activities and actions that require to keep the Australian listing active, and without really the capabilities to maintain company investor relations properly in Australia, because everybody are sitting in the Europe, where we are being able to address and to speak and to meet with shareholders and our investors on the same time zone, and basically have a better relations with our investor. The second part is that we need to understand that as a single listed company, we will be able to give more effort to the stock stability, and by obtaining a better improvement PR and IR, we'll be able to get better dollar value to our activities without the need to diversify between two major listings. This, of course, will allow us to help strengthen the share price as it should be, and that it needs to be represent pharma company in our clinical stage and our revenues, and not as we are today. And by this action of delisting and putting all the effort on the LSE will help us to take the share forward and upward. And of course, as you all can see, we have a very good support from our investors, and we'll need to see as we move forward and we get the feedback from the different drug agencies, and we build forward our clinical program to get the marketing authorization. We'll adjust our investment and the support of our new investor base forward. But at the moment, our core focus is, first of all, to complete the restructure of the company, focus on the LSE market as our main prime market, and bring value back into the company by executing our work plan, increasing our revenue through the early patient access scheme, and taking forward our clinical program closer to marketing authorization with the drug agencies.
That's great, Robbie. Yifat, I believe you have addressed all the questions for investors today, so thank you for that. And of course, the company can review all questions submitted today, and we will publish those responses on the Investor Meet Company platform. But before we redirect investors who provide you with their feedback, which I know is particularly important to the company, Robbie, if I could just ask you for a few closing comments.
Ifat, do you want to give a closing?
Sure. So just to summarize, I do believe, and I think we all do believe in Argent Biopharma. We think we are in a great space to now utilize our assets, whether it's physical assets, whether it's people, and obviously our product, to grow and to give value to shareholders and to investors. And thank you very much for participating in this call.
That's great, Robbie. Yifat, thank you once again for updating investors today. Could I please ask investors not to close this session, as you will now be automatically redirected to provide your feedback in order that the board can better understand your views and expectations. This will only take a few moments to complete, and I'm sure will be greatly valued by the company. On behalf of the management team of Argent Biopharma Limited, we would like to thank you for attending today's presentation, and good morning to you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.